Welcome to the Enlightened Musician Podcast, a podcast all about the music business and learning how to turn your art into an equally successful business, flipping the mentality of a starving artist into a profitable, sustainable career. Each week, we will interview someone that is excelling in their field and talk tips and tricks on how you can implement that for yourself. Because honestly, how can you know what you don't know until you've been enlightened? Welcome to another episode of the Enlightened Musician Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Light, and today we have CerVon Campbell on, and I'm so excited. He is an independent South Carolina artist known for his soulful sound and deep bending lyrics. CerVon is not only a singer, rapper, but also credited as a screenwriter, stand-up comic, songwriter, and actor. Known for bending genres, Campbell has crafted mixtures of hip-hop, R&B, alternatives, indie, country, folk, rock, EDM throughout his discography. The native actually has sounds similar to those of Childish Gambino, Frank Ocean, The Weeknd, and etc. You'll love this as well, too. He dives into everything in regards to his 50,000 followers on Instagram and how he grew that organically. And yeah, this is a good conversation, you guys. So stick around. Let's dive into the episode. Welcome to another episode, you guys. I am so excited today to have CerVon on. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Sorry I had to cancel and reschedule so much.
Oh my gosh, no. We were talking about it yesterday. He was actually on his way out of South Carolina to Florida. I want to know what that was about. So what were you going to be doing in Florida?
I've seen a lot of artists do like Instagram live shows and different things like that where more like it's a thing called colors. A lot of different, recorded performances, and
Yeah.
I've never tried doing that. Like I've performed, but I'm really weird with it. So I was trying just a different layout, trying to stay active. So just wanted to give that a shot. So we rented a venue, and with COVID, we couldn't have anybody in there. So it was just gonna be us playing and try to see how that worked out. But canceled for right now. So, we're looking forward to another try.
I know, but that's really cool. So it's going to be like a live streaming kind of show where like multiple cameras and stuff like that, I assume? Or
Yes, ma'am.
that's cool. And so the series is called Colors. Is that what you said?
No, that's what we was trying to like imitate.
Oh, gotcha. Well, that's really exciting. I hope whenever that happens, let me know and I'll post that to everybody because that's really, really cool. Live streaming is like a new little form right now that everyone's having to kind of convert over to. So it's fun to figure all that out. But since people are just finding out about you on this podcast, let's kind of rewind and let's just kind of hear your story. Go ahead and detail, like, where did you come from to get to here in music?
Well, I started out doing stand-up originally, which I still do. I was broke into that, and then I went on tour in 2018 where I was already kind of sort of releasing music, but really what pushed me was just I've always been big in like working in mental health. So I just kind of turned to that narrative. And when doing that, I was writing a lot of poetry. And a friend of mine, when I first started out, like, okay, I think I might make a song. She was making music, but she wanted more help writing. So she liked the poetry things that I was working on. So I started working for her and I just shifted. I made my first song, Venting, and I'm not going to say I liked it, but it was okay-ish song. And I was like, okay, I think I can get better at this in time. So I just kind of kept to it. And from there, I was just booking anything that I could get, collaborating with anybody I could, writing for anybody that would ask me to. And I just kept to it, just never stopped with it.
No, I love that. And you said you started as a stand-up comedian and you still do stand-up comedy. That's kind of a cool, both of those worlds as well. So do you feel like they ever go hand in hand, your music and stand-up comedy?
Yeah, sometimes I like to try to like, switch sides. So like with stand-up, I try to make jokes about, mental health and bring it down a level, because I try to, if I can laugh about it, I'll feel a whole lot better about it.
Yeah.
So, and with music, I try to make little jokes in my music. They're not always like, funny, but same with my stand up. It's almost never funny, but I'm trying. So
Yeah, it's kinda like
I'll give
bringing
myself extra
relief
effort.
to mental health. It's like making something relatable and tangible and kinda make you laugh kinda thing, so it makes it a little bit more easy to deal with, I
Yeah.
guess?
Yeah, I try to relate to a lot of different mindsets. I know like with me, most like all the serious things that happen in my life, if
Mhm.
I can find a point where I can make a joke and laugh about it, then I'm really fine. At some point I can get over it. I can get over it a lot sooner if I can
Yeah.
start laughing.
Well, speaking of that, do you do a lot of your songwriting? Do you write a lot about the mental health realm and, like, things like that? Because I know when I was just reading and listening to a couple songs, you do a lot of subjects that are, like, I would say, like, venting, like, your lyrics are kinda just, like, soulfully just venting. Is that kinda seep into your music?
Yeah, I had my periods where it was like I tried to avoid that, but
Mhm.
like I feel like it's not genuine and I don't want to be like, just one of those random artists who like I hate to name drop. I say Little Pump. I hate to be like one of those kind of artists. It's just like, yeah, oh, skirt.
Yeah.
So like I feel like if like when I listen to artists, when you can really tell they're feeling their song, then it brings you into their world. So I try to do the same thing. So I always kind of pretty much stuck to it. So all of my music has pretty much been like a true story, basically. So I just try to stick to it, stick to what I know into it. So yeah.
Yeah, no, and I love that. And let's talk too, because you do a lot more than just music too. You mentioned you do stand-up comedy. I wanna hear about the screenwriting and acting as well.
Screenwriting has will I, I am so bad at procrastinating. So we started I've helped people get
Mhm,
their stuff together, but every time I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and I'll write it out and I'll have it all set, like all exactly how I want it. When it comes time to actually getting it started, and then it's been even times where we had like the money into it, we had actors, we had it all going, and
mhm,
I get to a point where it's like the slightest thing makes it like, okay, we need to come back to this at a different time. It's not working right now. And with acting, I've been in a few things and I've done like a few pilots, but that's another thing. It's so hard to like stay up to date with it when you can just keep booking gigs and stuff. So both of them I really just kind of fell off with completely.
I feel you. So now it's, like, mainly a lot of the main focus is music and booking music.
Yeah, music is becoming my favorite right now because you can do it remotely.
Yeah.
I can stay in my room and make and release music.
Isn't that the kinda nice part about music nowadays? I know I miss a lot of touring and different stuff like that, but it's kinda nice that I can just sit in my home and make a whole entire song and release it into the world and still have that freedom to do that. You were talking about booking, and I know, we mentioned probably in the intro that you live in South Carolina. How is that scene booking there, or do you do everything online booking right now?
Um, I've always done my booking online and like Instagram and places like that. As far as here, I've never really done a show locally, really. I mainly focused on like outside of South Carolina. In
Mhm.
South Carolina, I think it might be harder for local artists a lot of times
Yeah.
to like get anything going. So I've always kind of like pushed to places outside of here, but I pretty much stick to online or like calling venues. I was really bad when I first started out with, say somebody was coming and they're performing, that place might have their own specific, local artist or somebody they have an agreement with to perform and open. I would always say like, I'll do it for less money. Like I'll know like how much they're getting paid and say, I'll do it for less or I'll do it for free. And
Yeah.
I was just cutting a lot of people
So you're making
trying to take their
all the
parts.
friends.
Yeah, I was cutting anybody I could to get their spot, and I just kept to it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I love talking about that too because I was telling you earlier before we hopped on, I'm from, just North Carolina, and sometimes it's harder in these areas to get especially I'm in the pop world, so it's really hard as well, and it's really cool to hear that instead of just, like, really focusing on South Carolina and people that are listening to this podcast, when you're not really in a state that really, caters to your genre at all, like finding places online. So let's talk about some of the places you booked online. What's some of the kind of the cool things that you've done online?
Um, Online, I became a lot more relevant than I actually am. So like
I want to talk about that. Yeah.
Instagram, I randomly got some kind of, I guess, clout. Like I got some, like kind of got cool where I was able to meet a lot of cool people and gain a lot of opportunities that way.
Hmm.
So I was really annoying. I might spam an artist or do something like that, and they'll be like, and I have a really weird username, so if I'm spamming them, it'll draw
Yes.
some attention, and they'll be like, okay, let me check out this guy, and then they'll listen to my music and be like, oh, okay, he's not awful, and yeah, we'll connect that way, and they'll give me a lot of opportunities from that.
Well, and you should say what your handle is because I honestly did the exact same thing because I was like, what is this handle? And I went and I played your music right away because I was like, I got to correlate why the name versus, and your music was awesome. So I want to hear why the username, and tell everybody what it is. It's funny.
Okay, it's it's Sex Monkey Limo Driver. And I've tried so hard to get it changed. I was just in
Oh,
a
really?
like a 2 hour thing yesterday on Instagram and Googling things how to like change it.
Mhm.
Um, I was 13 when I made my Instagram and didn't really take it serious. I got my username from this Nickelodeon game called Nicktropolis, where
Uh,
you're surprised you can have sex on there, but you could use four names to make one. And Sex Monkey, that was a weird thing that went together. And
yeah.
Limo Driver, that just flowed together. So I put them together and I just kept them. And then I randomly got verified on Instagram. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna start taking my career seriously. But by then I could not change it. So I just been stuck with it ever since.
That's so funny. How do you think you got verified? Because if you guys can see when you go on to his account, he's getting closer to like 50,000 followers. So I mean, he's doing pretty good. But how did you get verified? Do you know, or it just happened one day?
It just happened one day. I woke up and my Instagram was blank and I had a good amount of following then. So like I woke up about to cry. My account was blanked out. It said check my email and I got a notification. I checked my email. The notification there was, it was a long write up and I'll tell you, I'm dyslexic. So I'm skimming through it. I'm really not trying to read. I'm just trying to see like why. It's just a bunch of like different things, bunch of random sentences or whatever. So at the end, it told me to get back into it to click, and then when I clicked on, it said you've received a verification, and it was all the rules that came with it. And I'm thinking somebody hacked into my account still, and they're trying to get like my password and stuff. So I didn't believe it. So then when I got back into Instagram, I saw it. And it's like 6 in the morning, and I just started tearing up. Like I was
Aw.
screaming. Like that was like the happiest thing for me.
I mean, that really is an accomplishment because that really just kind of puts that stamp of approval that you're doing something right. So I would have done the exact same thing.
Yeah, my scream was validation. Like I was just validated, and it will touch me. I was so happy.
That really is exciting, and I love when artists get to have that moment as well. So, and I'm glad you just got it. Like sometimes there's so many approval processes, but Instagram was just like the gatekeeper of like you're in. I love that. Let's actually talk about some of this music that you're making right now. So I know you just released something recently, and it's called Miss Universe, right? I just
Yes,
listened to
ma'am.
it too, and it sounds so cool. I love that you incorporate, especially like your soulful sound to it. So let's kind of talk about what the song's about. What all is Miss Universe about?
Um, I want to say it's a love song, but it's kind of like a song of me forcing myself to like somebody.
Oh.
Um, it's me in a relationship, and it's basically like we laugh, we cry, like we have ups and downs, and it's kind
Mhm.
of good. It's things there where it should be good, but like with me being so anxious and like looking for problems and also like just day to day things, I'm trying my best to like figure out problems in a relationship, which I think is like a depression thing. And
Mhm.
I'm looking for all these excuses when just like I just wasn't happy at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
that's how it comes on. It comes on with me like breaking everything down, trying my best to figure out like how can I get out of this? I'm not happy here. And then it's just accepting it and kind of like settling into it where I'm trying to force myself to be happy and want to stay in a relationship.
Huh. It
So the
feels
whole
like
song kind of contradicts itself. It kind of is a loop of contradiction.
I like that loop of contradiction. That's such a almost screenwriter-ish way of writing a song too. It's like a whole involved script. But no, that's really cool. I love that. And I want to talk about something too, because you mentioned you like to bend a lot of genres, which I think is insane. So, what's kind of the craziest genres you've done?
Um, I did a country song with
What?
a lot of like rock in the back of it. And that's probably one of my favorite songs. It's on there. I guess it would be pronounced Gom. It's called Girl of My Nightmares, Gomn.
Yeah.
And I was sampling a lot of stuff and trying to play the instruments to kind of like, so I can legally sample it.
Yeah, yeah.
And coming down to it, it came out a lot countryer than I thought it would. So it had a country feel, and I wanted to, a lot of metal songs have like I'm awful at effects and plugins. They have like this electric sound to them. So
Mhm.
I incorporated that into it. And then my voice also on top of that, I'm singing. So it has like an R&B feel. So, and then I rap at some point. So I was just throwing every genre I could at it, where at first, before it was mixed, it just sounded like a lot of noise. But
Yeah.
luckily I had a good producer at the time. But yeah, it was all over the place. It still is.
No, but that's really cool. Like you just kind of went with the genre that it took. And right now, I think that's one cool thing that I'm hearing a lot in music is a lot of people are taking different genres and kind of mashing them together and making something brand spanking new. So I'm always about stuff like that. And you mentioned, did you like do you produce as well a little bit at least? Because you mentioned a producer, but you're already doing certain things that sounds like a producer would do.
A little bit. I would say like I couldn't even tell you how many songs I have out, but out of all of them, I probably have like three songs that I fully produced by myself. It's some where it might need like a guitar loop or it might need this and that, and I'll add that into it. Or I'll like at the most I can do is I have a band and I can say I can hum out, I want you to sound like this, and I can put all that together. So I'm working on it. It's a process. People that can be like, "Hey, I make beats all day." I could not do it at all, but I'm learning. I'm trying my best to.
But I mean, some people can't even produce. So I think what you're doing is killer. So that's awesome. I also want to back up a little bit to Instagram because one thing about this podcast that I do like is that it's music business as well. I want to ask what you were talking about, you focused in more on the Instagram game. What were some
Mhm.
things that you found that really propelled your following that you were doing?
Um, I answer every message that I'm sent. So anybody, is weird to say, anybody that is a fan of me,
Hmm.
I feel like I went out and reached out and got them. So like I'll spam, I'll go like some people's posts. I actually like listen to everybody's music that they send me for the most part. So a lot of people, especially gaining a following when I had a certain amount of followers,
Hmm.
they think that I was like, like important or something where I could do anything for them. So like they'll send me their music, like, hey, do this for me, like post this or listen to this. And I'll always like listen to it and I'll give feedback.
Yeah.
I try to be pretty much open with everybody on my Instagram that follows me or whatever. So I think that's helped me a lot with, I would say, just the viewing of everything, the response rate of everybody that follows or looks at my story. I'm pretty active with everybody, and I also stay very quiet. Like I'm active on my story, but I almost never post. But like
Really?
I'll respond. I try to, if they comment, I'll respond. I try to be as open to them as possible.
And I like that. So do you do a lot of stories though, at least, or not really at all?
Yeah, I'll be on my story because I can block out who sees it. I'm
Yeah.
scared to post because like a lot of people that I grew up in love with, like my idols started following me. So now I'm scared to post because I'm scared they'll see it and be like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that guy. Let me
Oh,
get him
wow.
off of here."
I feel you. I don't post a lot on Instagram. I kind of am a little bit more particular on what I post, but I live on stories. And but I'm like you too. I block some of them because it's just kind of me being silly, and I have people that can actually watch that. But that's cool. I
Yeah, I feel like
actually,
that's my place. I need to be
yeah,
like I can be less professional.
yeah, and it's kind of fun to be like that. But I like the fact that you literally take the time to listen to everybody's stuff, and I think you're just a genuine human. So anyone listening, it's just be a good, kind person. Like, but I do like that, and you just take the time to make sure everyone feels valued. So that's such a good lesson. I want to ask, what's in the future for you? What do you see that you want to happen coming up in 2021? Let's pretend like COVID's not here. But what's some things that you kind of want to see in the future for you and your music?
This year, I think this is the first year I'll be able to release the kind of music that I've always wanted to.
Yeah.
Um, I've never had the production that I
Mhm.
wanted. I've always had the people would send me beats and I would just have to pick from those. I've never been able to sit down and be like, okay, I'm gonna make this. Or I have friends now that can like make exactly what I hear in my head.
Ooh.
I've never had that level of creative control over anything,
Mhm.
and working with different people or like small labels, I was always boxed and told like, um, you're a rapper, be a rapper.
Yep.
So like now coming out of that where I can pick what I want to do, I'm,
Yeah.
s- it's always weird. I say like, I don't like my music. I'm starting to actually really like a lot of it because I can be myself. Like I remember, the last album I put out, the person that was in control of it when I was trying to do it, they were like, they wanted that like Juice World, kind of sad boy vibe. So it was forcing me to like not have a happy ending in my music. And I
Yeah.
put out different albums, but I've always like, I'll take them down after a while or, like put out a single from it and just kind of hold back so I can just have more inventory for later.
Yeah.
And in doing that, I like all my albums. I want to tell a story, like start to finish, whether it's like a album about a girl or just about experience. I want it to tell a story and at least have some kind of happy ending. Because I know if people are going to listen to me, like, "Hey, I'm sad. I want to listen to this guy." I don't want you to stay sad listening to me. I don't want to be the reason you're still in that dark place. So all of my songs I like to end on like, or at least try to end on a happier note. So now that I have that control, I don't have to keep making a bunch of like sad songs. I can actually try to, help my audience, or at
No,
least try to.
I love that. And I think that's so cool that this year is going to be more artist control from you. And I agree. I think it's good to relate to people, but also pull them out of the situation they're in, which kind of relates back to you liking to sing about mental health and everything. So that's exciting. So hopefully, I hope that you come out with a whole bunch of good music that you're really proud of. That's fantastic. I do want to talk about one last thing. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. So if you were to give advice to any musician just starting out or like the younger you, what would be something that you would love to tell someone?
Um, Stick to what you know and be patient. I know a lot of my depression came from I just was so ready to have a career and be able to travel and do this, that, and this.
Mhm.
And I just wasn't patient. So I was like really killing myself just wanting what's next instead of enjoying what I had at the moment. And stick to yourself because I know a lot of artists who are like suburban kids, but they want to make gangster rap music.
Yeah.
And if you don't really know about it and you try to put on this persona, you're not being true. So either
Mhm.
you're not going to like your music or people are not going to fully be able to connect. And I'm not like, bashing anybody that's like, making trap music or nothing. Cause a lot of them have those real experiences where they can actually talk about it. But like, I know me, like my thing has always been like mental health.
Mhm.
So I feel like a lot of the feel in my music, if somebody can actually really feel it and vibe to it, cause they know I come from, at least I try to come from a sincere place where it's like, I was really feeling like this and that's okay. So just be yourself because anybody being themselves, I feel like have longevity in this field. Like always, somebody I always go to is Frank Ocean. Like
Hmm.
I feel like in his music, he is fully himself. And I've seen the difference in him in his interviews where he's really shy, and his music sounds like he's kind of shy, but he's really out there as well. And I think artists like that who are really themselves are everybody's favorite.
No, I agree. I think authenticity, people can see right through that. And I think that goes with your music. That goes when you're talking about Instagram posts. I think everyone can learn from that. And that's why you're succeeding right now, is because being authentic, being your own true self, and writing the music that, can speak to other people is what really will set you apart. And I love that. And I think that's an amazing note to end on. And I'm also going to tell everybody that the new song, I'm going to actually put that in the show notes. Also, I want you to check CerVon out everywhere. So I'm going to actually link his link. And it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So he has this like site that literally has everything, every social media platform, you can find him everywhere. So I'll link that as well so you guys can check him out. And as he said, he will talk to you in his inbox. So feel free to say hello to him. But I really appreciate you being on today. And it was a great episode. So
Yeah,
thank you
thank you
so
for
much.
having me.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Enlightened Musician podcast. Make sure to visit our website, theenlightenedmusician.com, where you can subscribe to the show on your platform of choice so you'll never miss an episode. Until next time, this is Lauren Light.